Hello there, and welcome to today's video. I've been talking about making this video for a while. If you've been in any of my Battlefront 2 streams, you probably heard me mention the fact I wanted to make this video. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I can't claim to be the biggest. We all want to be the biggest Star Wars fan, but I am really passionate about Star Wars. I grew up reading the EU books, and so I have I have some opinions on the sequels and some opinions on some of the shows. And, we can debate those in any of my live streams if you want to. But I wanted to make this video because I feel like there's a lot of what is now Legends, but a lot of EU books that are worth reading that tell the kind of stories that some of us wanted to read or see. Or, the stuff that... Because that's my biggest gripe with a lot of the Disney stuff. It's a lot of the shows and stuff we're getting, in my opinion, it's just, they're not telling the stories I want to see. And the EU, there is a lot of that stuff, and so I wanted to make this tier list. Today's video will have 10 books on it. I just recently reread all of them, so that way they're kind of fresh in my mind, and I'm not looking at them through rose-colored glasses. I can kind of be a bit more subjective about some things. And, if you guys feel like I rated something too high, too low, feel free to leave a comment. Tell me why I'm wrong. If you want to see a follow-up video and there's books you might want to see in it, feel free to give me suggestions. I love reading books. I love reading the EU, the Legend, all that stuff. I grew up reading these. I would go to Goodwill with my parents as a kid because it was a great place to find books, and Star Wars books would end up there a lot. And so, I managed to get, the Heir to the Empire trilogy in hardback. It was for dirt cheap because it's Goodwill. And I'm sorry, I didn't script this, so just a warning. I might ramble. I'm just gonna straight shot this, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm gonna do this in order, on timeline order, and first up we got Dark Lord. So Dark Lord takes place 19 years before the Battle of Yavin. It takes place. For one of the characters, it takes place right at Order 66, and for Darth Vader, it takes place just about right after they finish surgery on him and put him in the suit. And so you have Darth Vader, and you have Jedi Master Roan, and then he has a Padawan with him. And what was really fun about this book, so this is before the official canon of the clones having chips in their heads, which made them follow Order 66. This was where Order 66 was a command, and as soldiers, they're supposed to follow commands, but you get the perspective of hey, the Jedi are our friends pretty much. They served alongside us. How could you say they're committing treason? How could I kill the man I served all these, battles and whatnot with? How can you ask this to me? And so some of them, disobey orders and they pay the consequences. But what's great was just seeing that where, I love the chip concept, don't get me wrong. I feel like that probably fits better, but it was just fun seeing it from the side where some of the clones were I follow orders. I do not care. They're dead. Done. And then some of them were hey, I have been in 15 battles with this guy. This dude saved my life. Who knows how many times? How in the world am I supposed to turn my gun on him? And it was just a really fun dynamic. And then Jedi Master Roan. What was cool about his character was he's an older Jedi Master, and so he was becoming weaker in the Force, and he just assumed that came with age, because kind of logical, right? You're getting older, probably not going to be as strong in the Force as you were, but it's in the end when he's finally facing down Vader, and he realizes that it was the rise of the dark side kind of siphoning the power away from the Jedi as a whole. It wasn't just him getting weak, it was the Jedi, and it's fun reading it. It's the final battle between them was really fun, because he's coming to these realizations as he's fighting Vader. And it's fun overall. I don't want to give too much spoilers or anything. And then Vader's side of the story is really cool because, like I said, it takes place right after surgery. So he's describing how the suit is painful to wear. It grabs at him every time he moves a joint. It just hurts. And that walking, moving his arms, everything just feels. It doesn't feel like him because the suit made him taller than he was, so he feels awkward and. He's in constant agony. He hates that he can't breathe himself. And you get to see him go from this kind of whiny, the last little bits of Anakin, and then by the end of it, him really stepping into being the Dark Lord. Darth Vader as we know him. And another part I really liked because my favorite character is Palpatine, and you actually get to see a few scenes from Palpatine's perspective. So when he's like talking to Vader, as you see Vader kind of changing throughout the book, you see Palpatine deciding like how he's going to handle Vader, how he's manipulating him, how he's deciding like, am I going to be super firm with Vader? Am I going to show compassion here or there? Like, you see Palpatine be more than just pure. Like, I love that he's pure evil, but you get to see some of the thought process behind things. Sorry, whoops. And I like the book overall, and I know this sounds like such a glowing review. He's probably gonna rate this highly, and it's going right here at C. You're like, whoa, you said all these great things. Why C? I decided this book is C because I don't think it is a necessary read. It's really good filler. There's nothing really expanded upon in it that like I feel need to be read. And like I said, this is my tier list. You go ahead and tell me why I'm wrong down below, but I'm telling you why this is a C right now. And for me, it's filler. I liked it. I had a good time reading it, but I can't like recommend it where it's like this is essential reading, man. This is gonna give you all this information about stuff you love. It's just a nice story. And you know, like I don't want to get into rambling, so C it is. Let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Scoundrels. Scoundrels takes place in the same year as the Battle of Yavin, but after the Battle of Yavin, it's like officially like 3/5 of the way at like weird little marking, but within that year after the Battle of Yavin. Scoundrels, it's a really good heist story. If you love heist stories, it's great. I like the characters in it. I like the setup for the heist. Like it's a fun read. I ultimately am ranking this one low though because I really dislike they included Lando in it, and the only reason why is because I don't know if he was purposely trying to add more layers to The Empire Strikes Back, or they weren't thinking about it. But you know, in Empire Strikes Back, when Han sees Lando again for the first time, he's worried Lando's mad because you know he won the Millennium Falcon from him, and he thought he'd be pissed off about that. But in this book, it opens up where basically the last time Lando saw Han, he's like, if I see you again, I'm going to kill you. And then, you know, he does come to realization. So what happens, like, this deal gone bad, and he thought, like, Han was responsible, but it turns out Han was burned out too. And so he kind of, like, forgives Han a little bit for it, and he decides to work with him for this new heist. And then, I don't want to give away spoilers, but lo and behold, at the end of it, Lando gets burned even worse. And so it's like, I feel like Lando would have every justifiable reason to purposely give him over. Like, I feel like it adds a layer to Empire Strikes Back that shouldn't have been. Like, it changes the whole dynamic there. I know I'm probably being a stickler and probably crazy for being upset about that. Because, like, Lando's great in the story. Like, the story is fun, but it's just a heist story. There is no expansions to any of these characters. Like, you're not getting anything new. You didn't learn anything new about these characters. It's just a fun read, and like ultimately, put it down here in D. And it's mainly because the Lando thing made me so upset. And there's no real like it literally it doesn't, other than it trying to I think add more to Empire Strikes Back. It just doesn't fill in anything I needed. Like there was literally nothing in this book you needed to know. It didn't add anything to Han's character. Didn't change the way you look at Chewie. It's okay. If you love heist stories, give it a read. Otherwise, you could definitely skip this one, and you're like genuinely not missing out. And I know that's really harsh of me to say, but like that's genuinely how I feel about that one. And then, sorry, I had to adjust there. My fault. Like I said, I didn't script this. I'm sorry. But next, we got Allegiance. Allegiance, I liked a lot. I'm going to start off saying, but I like the book a lot because with the sequel trilogy, I love the concept of Finn. I think Finn could have been, like, he is a good character, but I feel like he could have been so much more. Could you had that whole, he was a stormtrooper, he's defecting, you got that moral issue going on there where, like, you grew up serving the First Order. Like, I just wish they did more with it. And this book, I don't know if they were directly inspired. They'll probably never admit that they were inspired, but this book tells a story like that. You have a group of stormtroopers who do defect, and you get to see kind of the the conflict that comes with that, because it opens up. It's after the destruction of Alderaan, so they have that in their heads, and then they're sent to this planet where they're told there's a rebel cell, and they're told, like, they're commanded to open fire on everyone in the city. Like, they wipe out that city, and one of them decides not to shoot, and he ends up getting investigated by the ISB, and they end up having to run away. They desert. And I love the conflict, because they're constantly, like, they believe in the good that the Empire could be. Because, like, a lot of the way portrayed is just like, oh, the Empire's pure evil, there's no good in the Empire. And I don't know, some people, I don't necessarily like that take. I think there's good and bad in all things. So what I liked about this was like, they feel committed to the citizens of the Empire. They feel like they should be protecting them. They should be working for the greater good. They just can't do it for Palpatine's Empire. The big thing is, Palpatine's doing all the evil, really. And they still believe in justice and order. And, they do see the rebels as an issue, because the rebels are causing problems in play. Like, it's really cool. I love the dynamic. I love that storytelling. And I love it. Just gives like a new layer to, because like when you think of stormtroopers, you just think, oh, they can't hit anything. They're just faceless guys and yada yada. And this was just fun, because you get to see, like, no, they do love the Empire. They do love their citizens. There are good on both sides. It's just they do realize that ultimately Palpatine's Empire is evil, but they also don't want to be rebels, because they believe in law and order. And so it's just fun. And then also, I know I spent all that time talking about the stormtroopers. Mara Jade's in it. It's not the first time she technically shows up, because she was written in Heir to the Empire, but like this is prequel, yada yada yada. Her part was really fun, because she was investigating this kind of corruption within the Empire, and she ends up stumbling upon these stormtroopers and ends up taking them on as her own like personal regiment, because she also believes in the good of the Empire. It like, I don't know what to say about that part. Like, I love that concept. Some people are gonna hate that concept. I like it a lot. And then Luke and Han are also in it, and they kind of all their stories combined kind of at the end. They all meet up in the same place, and it's just a really satisfying conclusion. And I say all these really great things about this one, and then it's gonna go right here and see. Go in and see. Now, if I'm wrong about that, just tell me how you feel about it. Just let me know in the comments how you feel about that. But see, like I said, I like this story a lot, but other than the stormtrooper part, there's no real necessary expansion in the character. Like, I feel like I'd have to go through and really double check, but I feel like they kind of, Timothy Zahn wrote Allegiance, and he also wrote Heir to the Empire, and there's some kind of issues I think kind of happen with Mara Jade, where she uses some force powers that she like specifically says in later books she's never, like, small gripe. I over-examine too much stuff, but like ultimately to see, it didn't add anything to Luke or Han. Like, there's no necessary add-on. And I also probably forgot to mention it, this book takes place almost at the same time as Scoundrels. It's same year. Sorry to throw that in there at the last, and I'm getting all over the place now. I really apologize, but ultimately for me it's a C. If you want to read about that like stormtrooper portion of it, give it a read, but like, there's no groundbreaking lore implications or anything in it. It's just kind of a nice filler, feel-good story. So I liked it because of that. So next book on the list is Shadows of the Empire. This takes place about 3 to 4 years after the Battle of Yavin. It takes place just after Empire Strikes Back, all the way up to literally right before Return of the Jedi. And I like this one quite a like it helps fill in a lot of stuff. Like, it explains how the Bothans were involved with getting the information, and like why they said, tons of Bothans lost their lives, yada yada yada. And explains where Luke, it's really funny to me. It explains how Luke gets his black outfit, and it's so less exciting than you would think. Like, literally a character bought him clothes, and he's like, oh, this fits tight, dude. I'm gonna wear this forever. So his iconic thing was literally just bought for, like, there's no, I guess there doesn't need to be heavy lore implications for everything. It's just genuinely funny to me. Or is this literally like clothes provided to him for this mission they were doing? It does touch on Prince Xizor, if you kind of like that Black Sun and all that stuff. and it adds that his entire race of aliens, and I don't know how I feel about that because it never addressed in the movie. Like, we'll leave that part up in the air. But what my favorite part of the whole books is there's a couple parts where Darth Vader is meditating, and I'm nerding out. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I didn't script this. Like I said, I apologize. I really liked the meditation portions because you have Vader, so it's from his perspective. He's meditating and he's like channeling his anger. He's summoning the dark side, and he manages to like channel enough anger, summon enough dark side that it healed his lungs, and so his lungs are healed, so he immediately feels happiness from being able to breathe normally. And the moment he feels happiness, the dark side rips it away from him, like destroys his lungs. He's not like has to go back. It's really cool. So like Vader from then on, he's like, oh, I'm not allowed to feel like I can't feel happiness. I have to learn how to be basically angry 24/7. So he has like follow-up sessions where he feels his lungs come back to normal for a bit, and he's like trying to push away, the feeling of happiness, the feeling of relief, and just try to focus. Like it's a really cool written portion in these books. I love the whole concept of like, the dark side gives and it takes away. And it's really fun. I like this story a lot. I actually feel like, cause I know I've said filler a lot, I actually feel like it did add a decent amount to these, to the overall story. Cause it fills in gaps. Like I said, you get to see Luke building his green lightsaber in it. And like how like difficult it was. You get to see what Lando was up to, how he kind of stepped up and became the Lando we know him as. And it's just the only part that's funny of these books is before Luke knows Leia is his sister. So there's some scenes where it's just he's thinking about her, and it's just really funny because he's like, dude, I love her, and you're kind of fantasizing a bit, and it's really funny to me because it's like, it's just there, bro. I know you don't know that. I can't. I'm sorry. It's hilarious, the connotations, but ultimately, I know I've been kind of ranking stuff low. This one's a B. This one is a B, and it's not. I can't say essential read, but it is. It's more than just fit. Like it actually expands on a few different things. It adds to the overall story. It kind of fills in the gaps between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It's just a good read, in my opinion, overall. Like, I liked what they did with it. My only gripe, I just kind of wish Black Sun, like, I know they're trying to, Black Suns can't, we'll have, agree to disagree on that portion, but ultimately, B tier. So, next up is the Heir to the Empire trilogy. I'm just gonna start off and immediately put all three of these into S tier. If for some reason you don't agree with me, go ahead and tell me in the comments why you don't think it's S tier, but I think it is almost unanimously agreed that this is like the best EU Star Wars ever written. Like it is, they do justice to, like that's, I don't want to get sidetracked and talk about the sequels, but like this does such great justice to like what happens after Return of the Jedi. It does great justice to Luke, Han, like it's just overall just really good. And then timeline wise, it's about 5 years, I believe, after the Return of the Jedi, and there's tons of characters added in. I really like Thrawn. This is the first introduction for Thrawn, and I know Thrawn is now officially canon. He's in Rebels and yada yada yada, but Thrawn in these books, he's such a great mastermind. You get to see things from his perspective. You get to see him just like whipping the New Republic's ass, dude. It's great. And what's really cool too, because I don't want to harp on Disney Star Wars, but what I really liked is it shows that, after the Battle of Endor, the Empire doesn't just stop being the Empire. They don't run away. They still control thousands of systems. They still have most of their fleet intact. They still have all these government, like they're still a huge opposing force. Like, yes, they are now able to establish themselves as a new republic, but they have to get control. They have to keep the Empire from being a new, like, it's just really cool finally seeing that, because like these books just do so much justice. And then if you like Mara Jade, this is timeline wise, this is not the first introduction, but book wise, I'm pretty certain this is the first time she's written in. And Mara Jade, I absolutely love her character. I love the concept of her being kind of like a special agent of Palpatine. I love that like Palpatine's final message to her was to kill Luke Skywalker. So she's dealing with, does she really want to kill Luke? Is she just kind of being controlled by the remnants of Palpatine? And there's tons of really nice dynamics in here. Talon Card is a new character in the book. I love Talon's character. Talon's character is he's so well written. I really like he's a bad guy, yes, but he's ultimately he's a good guy. Like there's just so much. The one funny thing is, so I've read these books and I listened to the audiobook, and so I read these as a kid, and I'll be honest, I was not a good student in English class, and like a lot of readers, I just assume I'm reading things the right way, and so there's a character, Jedi Master Sabayoth. I read that as a kid because the way it's spelled is like C apostrophe Baoth or something like that. But I read it as Kaboth. I'm like, yeah, C and then Boath, Master Kaboth. And then in the audiobook, hearing it read, it's Sabayoth. And it got me good when I read it that way. But ultimately, so Master Sabayoth, he's in all three books. Thrawn's in all three books. Mara's in all three books. And the overarching, like, he does such a good job of delivering a trilogy story, like carrying all these ideas throughout, and seeing the Thrawn as he's taking stuff over, seeing Mara Jade develop as a character, seeing Luke develop. Like it's somewhat like the character development's great, the story's like I don't want to talk too much about the story because I don't want to give it away. Like I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm telling you right now, this is S tier. If you don't think it's S tier, feel free to tell me in the comments why I'm wrong. But genuinely, absolutely love this trilogy. I couldn't even tell you how many times I've reread it. I at least 6-7 times, including the audiobooks twice. Not included, so it'd be 9 times if you include the audiobooks, but genuinely love these. It's such a great expansion to all the characters. It does justice to our original trio, it does justice to all the original. All right, does justice to Luke, Han, Chewie, Lando, Leia, everybody. It's just such a good, like, this is I should have wrote a script, I'm sorry, but god damn it, these are damn good books. Now since I don't want to like spoil anything for those, the next book on my list, it takes place actually 10 years after the events of this trilogy. It's also written by Timothy Zahn, and our first one is Spectre of the Past. So what was really cool, like I said, this one shows kind of the remnants of the Empire coming together, and then them, like I can't say what happens, but in Spectre of the Past, it is 10 years after the events of that, and Thrawn was such a good villain that like the New Republic is still afraid that he could come back. And the Empire is literally down on its last legs. And so Admiral Palion, he's now Admiral in replace of Thrawn, he's deciding, he looked at his fleet, he's looking at what's left of the Empire, and he sees it in their best interest to have an actual peace treaty with the New Republic. They would keep their land, they wouldn't mess with the New Republic, vice versa, they'd establish trade. But as you would guess, not everyone in the Empire is cool with that. And so, like I said, I don't want to give things away, but this Moff decides that he's like, hey, I'm not going to have peace with the New Republic. I'm doing my own thing. And so he starts raising hell, puts the fear back in the New Republic. And what was really cool, because Admiral Palion doesn't know this is happening, so he's like, out in the middle of space waiting to make a peace treaty with Leia, basically, and all this is happening. The New Republic is panicking because there's this new crisis going on with the Bothans, because it turns out the Bothans helped turn off the shields that eliminated this alien race, and they're being blamed for it, and like the New Republic is about to tear itself apart because, like you were seeing, like they kind of try to show in the prequels, like democracy's failing, yada yada yada, and so like this Bothan thing is threatening to like have people leave the New Republic, and wars are going to break out, and like the New Republic is almost falling apart from within. And then now they have this new threat from the Empire, from the Moff and his whole plan going on there. And It's really well written. It's not as good as the original trilogy, but if you wanted more, if you wanted more Mara Jade, you wanted more Luke, you wanted more of Timothy Zahn Star Wars, the goodness. It's more of that. And what was really cool, so this is Luke has established the new Jedi Order in it, and he's kind of like having a midlife crisis, I guess is the way you describe it. Like he's worried about using too much of the Force, so he feels because like the more he uses the Force, the more he feels like he might be dipping into the dark side, or the dark side might have a hold on him. And it's just a really fun concept they kind of explore through the book. And then on the sequel, the Visions of the Future, he's also facing it with Mara Jade, and like he's this is where ultimately, if you didn't, sorry, this is a big spoiler. If you jump 45 seconds from now or something, if you don't, actually, you're gonna spoil the next book after that. Whatever. Sorry. Luke and Mara end up together, and ultimately, I love that. I love romance. I love love stories. Everyone knows they end up together, but what was really cool is, the Jedi, they weren't allowed wives. They weren't allowed supposed to have relationships, and then we do see Anakin and Padme, but Padme's not force sensitive. And what was really, really cool in these books is Mara Jade is. And so as you see them kind of, coming together and whatnot, they describe like the way they can feel each other and how their minds kind of melt into one. And it's just, he's battling with that because Yoda had said like Jedi didn't take wives, they're celibate, yada yada. And Luke's dealing with like his own emotions and like forming his new Jedi Order, and like, is what he's doing correct? Is he allowed to get married? Is this the reason why they weren't allowed to get married? Like the way they were connected, because like they can share everything. It's really, really cool. Well, I'm doing injustice describing it, but it's real. I love it. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say I love it. But Luke, he's dealing with all this. He thinks like, I might be falling to the dark side. I need to reduce the amount of force I'm using. So he's like almost kind of cutting himself off. And Mara Jade, she's kind of coming into the force, and so Luke's dealing with all of this at once, and it's just really well put together. Like I said, it's a great add-on to this trilogy. Now it is not, and like, you don't really need to read it. Like technically, if we're getting it, you can just stop this 3 right here. Just read these 3. You can just ignore the rest of the list and be happy. But if you want more, this is a great follow-up. They're really, really good follow-ups. And ultimately, I decided to put them in A tier. They're not as good as the trilogy, in my opinion. Like I said, feel free, comment below. But there's like, if you wanted more of this, read these. Like, absolutely. It just, Timothy Zahn does a great job expanding on all the characters. You see, because it's 10 years after the events of this, so you see where like Talon Card ends up. You see how Leia and Han are doing. You see their kids are kind of growing up. You see how Luke and Mara do. Like, it's such great expansion to all the characters. And then there is, so Talon Card's story goes after an old boss of his, and what was really cool, they never expanded on it, and there might be books that do. I might have to look into that. So there's this group of alien monks who study the Force in the book, and the way it's described is they don't see the Force as light and dark. They see it as like almost a spectrum of color. Like they like briefly mentioned that. I kind of wanted more. I really like that idea because like they didn't see the Force as just like a tool the way some people do. Like sorry, I'm rambling. It's just really cool concept that I wish got expanded, and they might be in other books. I liked it a lot. The other part that's cool too, since this takes place 10 my lord, 10 years after the events of these, it does try to like incorporate other EU books. So they do like mention. So like if you've actually read other EU books, there are mentions to other books like, oh, this ship and this event. Like, it does a really good job connecting books that he didn't even write into his story. And it's just, Timothy Zahn is such a writer, man, like unbelievable. And so my final book on the list is Star Wars Survivor Quest. And this is basically a sequel to these two, in a sense. Like, it's Timothy Zahn again, and it takes place, let me double check real quick, 22 years, so another 3 year. So this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi, 10 years after these books, and this is 3 years after these books. And this is just focusing on Luke and Mara. There are other characters, but like Han, Leia, Land, none of them are in this. Is just Luke and Mara. They've been married now for 3 years, and this, if you've read Outbound, so I don't have Outbound Flight on this list. I should. I'm gonna reread it, and if I do a follow-up video, it'll be on here. This book, they're going to, so they get a message that the ship for Outbound Flight has been found, and it wanted to be returned to them. So Thrawn's people, which I didn't mention before, they're called the Chiss. They come from outside the known galaxy and the unknown regions. And so Luke and Mara get a message from the Chiss, like, hey, we found this Outbound Flight. We'd like to return it to you. You know, come meet us at these coordinates and we'll take you out there. And so they join the Chiss, and then the new version of the Empire. So there's the Empire, and then there's the Empire of the Hand. And I guess I should have explained that here at the end of this one. So Thrawn was like secretly setting up another empire to help defend against the outer regions, because there are unknown horrors out there that could wipe out the galaxy, and he was trying to bring the galaxy together for that. I apologize, I didn't bring that up in these. I should have. And so he formed this other empire called the Empire of the Hand. And so the Empire and the Hand are in this. They also got invited, so they joined Luke and Mara, and they're all heading out to Outbound Flight. And when they get to Outbound Flight, you know, they expect to find the destroyed dreadnoughts, and they're not going to be anything there. They'll have to figure out how to take out the ships, yada yada. But turns out that some of the people did survive Outbound Flight. They've been stuck in the ship for like 50 years. And you're like, well, how could they live in that long? So Outbound Flight, I believe it's 6 dreadnoughts that are like all linked together, and they had enough supplies to last ages. Like, they were meant, because they didn't know how far the outer regions were. They didn't know how far they could go, how long they'd be on the ship. So they're basically set for life in these. And so they've been living in the ship for 50 years, and things start to get, you know, a little wacky. Because Jedi were on that ship, and Outbound Flight, I assume, I really apologize, I didn't read Outbound Flight, but Outbound Flight, whatever happened, the Jedi, because Master Sabaoth was also there, everyone remaining on the ship do not trust Jedi, and since Luke and Mara are there, they do not trust them. And so you got to deal with that whole dynamic, and you got to deal with them like realizing like, oh, we might get out of here, and they're kind of attached to their ship, and it's just it's not, like I said, it's the same issue with these. It's not necessarily an essential read, but if you wanted more of Timothy Zahn, you wanted more of his genius, Survivor's Quest is the next. But like these, you could read 1, 2, 3, 4, all 6 of these, and ultimately, this is going in A. All 6 of these, is just a nice cohesive stuff. Like, there are other great writers, and in my follow-up videos, I'll be covering books from, most of these are Timothy Zahn. But this right here, this is his golden era. You can read just the 6 of these. You get such great add-ons to all of the Luke, Han, Leia, everybody's fleshed out. You get to see Mara Jade fleshed out. You get to see her changing from like, I should have been following the Emperor's rules, to her, you know, being in love, marrying Luke. And there's just so much great content here. And like I said, I know I've apologized, I don't know, 30, 40 times at this point. I still have wrote a script, damn it, but it's too late. But, you know, this is my ultimate ranking here. If you disagree with anything, think something should be lower, something should be higher, like I said, feel free to leave a comment below. If this video does well, if you guys end up liking this, I'll do a follow-up video. And if you have any suggestions of books you'd like to see on a follow-up video, feel free to leave a recommendation. Like I said, I love reading these books. I'm very passionate about Star Wars, and I just wanted to make this because I know there are people out there who just want more. Like, yes, Luke and them are in the sequel movies, but like I feel like they did just such injustice to their characters. They're not telling the stories I want. Like, I want to know what Luke was up to, and Leia was up to, and Han was up to, and like I want to know what these characters were doing after The Empire Strikes Back. I don't want it to be how sad and depressing they made all of them in the sequels. And all these pretty much all these books just help fill that in. And so, you know, if you like the video, hopefully you'll like, maybe you'll even subscribe, who knows. And, you know, with that, I think I'll end the video here, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next one. But have a good one.